We're live.
You're live.
We got the water on.
Okay, welcome, and this is Dunbar Finance Committee, along with city council members. It is October 19th, 2020, at 6 p.m. And so we'll call the meeting to order. And again, just a couple reminders. We've been through this for weeks and months now, but the meeting is closed to the public on account of COVID guidelines. But Kathy is streaming it live right now through Dunbar City Council Facebook, or excuse me, YouTube page. And everyone here has their mask on except myself, and I'll put it back on when I'm not talking. And so we're trying to go by the guidelines. So that's just a reminder of our setting. Again, this is Dunbar Finance Committee. And so we'll call the meeting to order. And our first item is approval of minutes from October the 5th, 2020. Everybody present has that. And you had a chance to look over your minutes. I want to thank Steve Arnott, Councilman Arnott, for taking the minutes. If any questions, corrections, or comments on the minutes from October 5th, 2020, Finance/Council Committee minutes? Hearing none, entertain a motion to approve minutes as written.
Mr. President, I got a motion that we accept October 5th, 2020 finance meeting minutes.
Okay, so we have a motion from Jim Hughes. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Connie Thompson. Okay, any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Our first item of business after the minutes is our invoices for this period, $171,922.58. And again, that includes our P cards. And so we'll take time now to go around. We'll start with the committee members, which would be Connie Thompson, Jim Hughes, and Councilman Arnott, myself, and then after that, we'll have any other council members that has any questions about as well. So we'll start with Connie Thompson on the invoices.
One second. Okay, I'm on the last page, basically the,
P cards.
yeah. Mhm. And then, I'm sure these are all legitimate, but I was wondering, what was it one car, two? Bill, I'm talking about, at TLC wash and car, 409, then a 640, and then a 152. Are those different cars, hopefully?
Yes, ma'am. When I call them, when I get a PO number from the mayor, we list the car number.
Okay,
But their car repairs, they're actually necessary car repairs to keep the car on the road. They're not like windows, can't,
right.
rims.
Well, I knew that,
Yeah. But they're different cars.
but you don't have a habitual car like he had a habitual fire truck?
No, I wouldn't say that.
Okay, I'm just asking, you never know.
No, I wouldn't. None of them are worth having. I mean, that's how I feel about vehicles.
But you don't have an habitual offender?
No, ma'am.
Okay, that's what I need to know, thank you.
If you would, in the future, when you're looking at those, if you'll go back and look at
The one before.
the log sheets, these are current for several months. And if you're concerned about tracking it, it'll give you more information on this sheet than what will on the purchase order.
Okay,
It's cross-reference to your,
okay, and then the last thing was on the P card, it says Sunbelt Rentals for St. Albans. Was that for the paving and whatever?
that's much, that's all the grinding equipment, correct, Scott? It's
Yes.
on-
Yes.
Almost $8,000.
Mhm.
Okay, that's it.
So we had it was 11,000 total for the pothole repairs between Sunbelt and the asphalt.
I'm good.
Jim Hughes?
And this, of course, you're running over our big bill, of course, you know, the Stevens Road, 129,030,000, their police cars in here, almost 35,000, and the river bills and stuff, so I really didn't have anything. I'm good.
As Councilman Hughes mentioned, in that is one of the police cars. We approved it months ago, but it just come in. So that was the 33,250, and it's
It's on the summary sheet, but not in the bills to be paid yet.
well, there was one car in the invoice list also.
Yes, there's one car in
Yeah.
it, but
That's
128,000 we show is the purchase order
Okay.
approval, but it's not in the bills to be paid
Okay.
yet.
We'll take it right.
It's still a couple weeks
Wipe
out.
down that. Sorry.
Because they haven't poured the concrete yet on that.
Right. I thought we were paying up front or something.
Yeah.
Good. Steve Harvey?
On 207, near the top of the page, we had a Brandon Brogan law firm, $600.
Okay, Brandon Brogan is the grass contractor that we hired,
Okay.
and that's for the mowing of the lots that we gave him on the list. And then we gave him a list of 6 or 7 more that needed remediation order on, but we only gave him the ones that we didn't think we would have issues with the property owners, either absentee landlords,
Mhm.
but Scott will have to deal with a couple of them that were, there's people that actually reside there, so we didn't want to put him in a position of having to deal with an irate citizen. But on the vacant ones, we've added 6 more on there to get voted before the winter, so that we can get caught up with it.
It says,
DBAs.
law, and I thought it was a law firm. I couldn't understand how tied in.
Lawn, should be
It's
lawn.
supposed to be lawn.
Should be an and after it.
Yeah.
But I think there's only so much space in the.
Okay, that's fine. I think that's all I need.
And our committee is reviewed. Now we'll go to other council members that have a voice in this meeting, but just not a vote, and so we'll let them ask any questions. We'll start with Greg Wolf.
I'm good.
Amanda Boggs.
I do have a question on page 4 of 7. Do we have a dog catcher now, a humane officer now?
That's our quarterly payment just to the Kanawha County facility to house the dogs and cats. It's nothing to do with our employee.
Gets picked up and taken.
It's a donation,
Every,
that we help support.
every quarter.
Animal shelter.
Yeah.
The dog pounds they used to call.
Okay, I just don't remember seeing that.
Yeah, that's
Thank you.
every 3 months.
That's what I thought.
Okay, so anything else, Linda? We'll go over next to the question.
Yes, sir. I don't have anything.
Councilman Scoot, okay. So we have reviewed, again, that's $171,922.58 for all of our invoice total. And so do we have a motion to send this to full council for approval?
I make a motion to send to full council for approval for payment of invoices totaling $171,922.58.
So we have a motion by Connie Thompson. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Jim Hughes. Any other final questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. Thank you. So we'll drop down to clerk's report, and we have about 5 different items here. We have a short budget, our cash balances, our revenue expense sheet, a sales tax update, and our United Bank account update. So we'll let the clerk start. Again, you've got your short budget, which is through September, which is 25%. So we'll let the clerk start with that.
Yeah, give everybody a short budget. As he said, we should be setting at 25%. Hopefully you'll have a chance to look it over. And then the 2 reports, the mayor's report, and even the revenue and expense report, we got to remember next year that all the money came from the grants from there. And of course, if you look, this month is a big month, which a lot of that comes from our property taxes, which like Friday, I made a $500,000 deposit, so we've got half of that in so far. So, and then the other reports, I think I gave to you all the first week, all those. The 5 accounts with our state.
Yes.
Doesn't know if anybody had any, and the Datamax info was, we really don't have we got a contract with them, but it's as they get vendors, it's a 2-year thing, and so I guess we got 90-day notice if we want to, at any time, drop them. We just got to give them a 90-day notice, same way with them giving us a 90-day notice.
During that 90 days, or once we give them the 90-day notice, they won't look for new businesses, but we will still owe
Oh, yeah.
the 50% for that 2-year period of time from the time they got the first collection until the contract expires.
And I think I'll try to get a report that, you know, they came on real strong to start with, but it's, and of course, the COVID thing, they were closed for a while too, so,
And it will trickle down, because once they catch almost everybody, then
right,
it's just the way it works. Once they succeed it, there's not much out there to get.
right.
Okay, so you've got your short budget, as the clerk mentioned, at 25, and basically all departments are right on that, other than the ones that are front-loaded, and that's fully understandable. So we're in line on that. She mentioned your cash balance has referenced the grant, which is the CARES Act. That one deposit was $437, and then that will be transferred to the state. And she mentioned in September, we had $483 in property taxes. So that was very beneficial, because B&O is actually pretty minuscule that month, so it was very good to have property tax to carry the load. And if you note at the bottom, coal severance has 84, because we'll be coming back to coal severance later tonight and on the agenda for an expense. Anything else on the cash balance? Okay, and then on the revenue expense sheet, again, those we have to be cautious, because those include, for a couple months till all the grants come through, it can give us false assurance. So every time you look at that, remember that's money coming in and out. Because as the grant comes in from the CARES Act, it's deposited first to our checking, but then transferred to the state fund. So just keep that in mind every month as you look at that. Then our sales tax, there was a note in there as well. If you reference that, anything you want to add on sales tax, clerk?
No, but the sales tax were up this quarter from last year, the same time period.
It was up almost 26,000 from last year. Have you seen a trend? We can see that retail and the people are spending money as far as just fast food, groceries, all that.
Right.
Are businesses that are non-retail, are you seeing, I know you're not allowed to reveal anything about privacy, but are you seeing trends on the non-retail? Are they holding strong, or is it dipping?
But our B&O, it's just hanging in there. It's basically,
Staying similar as
yeah,
last
it's
year.
basically our retail business,
And like I said, we see retail's doing good, but you worry about the non-retail, how it's affecting them,
right?
the slowdown in the economy.
Yeah, one of the main issues that Connie and I've had with the sales tax information is that they will not give us a detailed breakdown as to where the sales tax money came from. I mean, everybody, I guess, is paying it because we're getting a good return and it's increasing, but we couldn't categorically say,
How much is Kroger versus
Right.
Taco Bell, or?
I mean, and what would be, the reason we want to see that information is a good, accurate way of going back to see if they're paying their B&O taxes correctly. So if we know that sales tax is 1% of the sales on certain items. Certain items are exempt, like food and gasoline. But it would give us a good heads up as to, based on our original analysis, the percentage of exempt items versus non-exempt items from the sales tax. We could look back to the B&O tax report and compare the two and make sure that everybody's being honest about their filings.
The B&O is very hard to track and
Yes,
to get an honest assessment of.
it's honest, yes.
As you can, if you looked over your report, you see, again, as the clerk mentioned, it was up just shy of 26 over last year, and it was up about 13, slightly over 13 from last quarter, which the last quarter, that was partially the lockdown, so still some improvement in that. Any questions for the clerk on sales tax? And then you gave us the United Bank's balances. Anything you want to share on that?
Yes. Like I said, you know, we put a lot of that grant money into those funds, but then this is a big month for the taxes and B&O, so like I put over $500,000 in there Friday, just from taxes and all the little things we get from the state, the lottery and.
Any other questions for the clerk on these reports? Thank you, Connie. And we'll drop now to ordinances and resolutions. A is the second reading of ordinance 790. This is concerning the mayor's salary. And again, just a moment after I mention one point, I'll step out, so there's no conflict of interest. It'll be the second reading of that increase for the next term of whomever's elected, $2,500. One thing I want to point out is to make sure we're all clear when you make these votes. This comes from ordinance committee without any provision for take-home cars. So just making sure that's clear, that we all understand that, and whomever is elected will be under that situation there as well. So just making sure that was clear. It wasn't brought up at the last meeting. And I'll step out for, I'll turn it over to our president of the council, Steve Arnott, for a few moments.
Good. Okay, it's the second reading of the ordinance 790, increasing the compensation for mayor by $2,500 annually. Just open the floor, see if there's any discussion on it. Not, entertain a motion.
I entertain a motion, we, take before council the second reading of ordinance 790, increasing compensation for mayor's salary.
Second.
Motion's been made by Councilman Jim Hughes, seconded by Council Lady Connie Thompson to accept the second reading of ordinance 790, increasing the compensation for the mayor by $2,500 annually. Any discussion or questions on the motion? Not all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? It carries. And now we'll turn it back over to
Thank you, Steve. And we'll move now to, no, did it pass?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll move now to the next one, is second reading of ordinance 791, for city clerk, an increase for the next 4 years, $1,000 annually. And Councilman Lady Thompson stepped out as well, since she's on the ballot for that. The clerk is here, but she can't vote one way or the other, so there's no conflict of interest on that, because the clerk does not vote on this. So we have first reading last time, we're second reading, again, increase of $1,000 annually for the 4-year term. Any questions? We have a motion to send to council with our approval, the second reading of 791 for an increase of $1,000 for the clerk.
I make a motion, or entertain a motion, we, send a second reading of ordinance 791 before council for approval.
So we have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second, any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Okay, thank you. And, can you see her, Linda? Okay. So if you can see her wave to come back.
I want to see how you deal with this one.
Well-
Because technically, nobody really had to recuse themselves in the last two.
And this one is,
You can't have a vote on the next two.
I know,
If
this
somebody
one
recuses themselves.
really, Connie and myself would be the only two that could actually carry that same standard for this one, because we cannot be on council next time we roll ballots now. But that is the point the mayor brings up, on these next two, C and D, everyone will have to, or because it involves everybody, it's going to be on the ballot for council, they'll have to still make a vote on it. And I think Connie and myself both did the other out of just an extra precaution for anything on the last one. But since our last meeting, ordinance, I guess you all met again to come up with these two?
No, this did not come out of order.
Okay, so it is on the agenda, the first reading of 792, and this would increase per council meeting, the compensation for the president of the council from 125 to 175. And then you see below, we can only handle one at a time, but you can see below that we have the same principle for the rest of the council as well. But this is brought to us, ordinance 792, so we'll have some time for discussions. It's first reading. Questions on this recommendation? And Mayor, make sure I'm correct on this. This is not for committee meetings. This is the same principle we are now, just per council meeting.
Correct.
Okay. Hearing none, and again, this is locked in for 4 years at a time. You cannot go back and edit these things.
Well, you know, present council right now makes a little more to begin with. Do we want to,
125 versus 100.
yeah, do we want to bump it up even more so? I mean, I don't understand the reasoning here personally. I mean, I'll go with whatever you guys want, you know, but I just, as far as the press of the council, I just can't see where the necessity is there. That's my opinion.
So, any other, and again, the rate that you scanned, again, we're only dealing with the first ordinance, but it's proportional to the next ordinance. But any other questions? Okay, and again, just by virtue, we'll all have to be a part of this because you can't all recuse or there's no vote. So we have first here, ordinance 792, recommendation increase $50 per meeting. And that would be beginning January 1 for the next 4-year term. So do we have a motion to send this to council for approval?
I make a motion to send to full council the first reading of ordinance 792, increasing the compensation for the city council president by $50 per meeting.
So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second that motion.
Okay. For a moment, I thought I was going to die from the motion. So we have a motion and a second. Any other questions? Again, we've heard one question mentioned. Okay. This will be a vote to send to full council. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed, no. Okay, thank you. And the next one, again, is the same principle, but it's dealing with the rest of council.
Again, this did not come out of the ordinance meeting. We did not get the numbers till after we had our meeting. That's the reason this is put on as such.
Okay.
And again, I'm not in favor of increasing the council's salaries, even though I know that there's a big gap between ours and everybody else in the world. I'm not going to oppose what you guys want. That's my personal opinion.
And just a quick question, the mayor I'll scan these, but I don't have it memorized. Some of our neighboring cities, again, I know their budgets are different, but they're running 200 to 300 per meeting generally.
I think St. Albans is 500 per meeting. South Charleston is $1,000 per meeting. And
Wrong shit.
Amen, Mike.
and Charleston's up there pretty high.
And theirs was 700 or something.
So,
And the citizens watching, ours was 75 the last term, and it had not been changed for a number of years. The last term was changed to 70, or excuse me, to 100. And then, so it's been 100 per meeting, which not committee meetings, that's just per council meeting. So depending on how you do your deductions and how much taxes you take out that you're going to be bringing home, your gross salary is generally 200 per month for this position before we bring this ordinance tonight. So you've got that there then, the first reading, it's been put on the agenda for 793, that would increase it from 100 per meeting to 150 per meeting, which averages twice a month. Any questions that you heard from Councilman Scipio? Any other questions or concerns? Do we have a motion from our committee to send this to full council?
I make a motion to send to full council the first reading of ordinance 793, increasing the compensation for the city council by $50 per meeting.
So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, so Jim, you second that? Again, thought it was gonna die for their second. So, any further or final questions? All in favor of sending this to full council, say aye. You opposed, no? Okay. New business. You've got your info there for a new Ford dump truck, F600, and there's a lot of specs on that, and so we'll first turn to Scott Elliott, Department from Public Works, to go over the information about this 2021 dump truck for us.
Only thing, we've got several dump trucks down there that are in bad shape. We've got one that we cannot use because it has a rhino liner in it for blacktopping purposes. So we went to the mayor about getting one that we could do everything with, and that's the stainless steel bed. And along with that, all of the salt spreaders that we have down there are extremely old. They're old used state road, and all of them would need new motors put on them. So we came up with trying to get a new truck out of the deal and get rid of a few more. And it would be all around, year round, being able to be used for blacktop, hauling dirt, rock, stone, and salt all winter long if we need to.
Do you know the price, because I see this is priced for an F600, and And our other dump trucks similar for that kind of work are 350s or 450s. You know, the price difference, we're paying more for the 600.
I do not know, it's just a bigger, heavier duty, it'll haul more, so that we can make sure that we get some of these jobs done with only one dump truck, instead of making 4 trips.
When Scott and Mike and I talked about it, we have, the smaller dump trucks we have are a lower profile, which makes it easier to throw trash and debris and stuff like that in. But it doesn't have the capacity to put a 4 cubic yard salt spreader in the back and to really be moving some salt, which is, I think, is what the committee was talking about. So this is really more of a, as he said, an all-purpose dump truck that you can use for a multitude of things, hauling a significant load of gravel and trash and a salt spreader and getting the job done. And that's, I think, one of the issues that we've had. We've got a lot of intermediate sized stuff, but not, the older trucks have all deteriorated and gone that fill this purpose.
Of course, the truck is a state bid, so you don't need competing bids on that. 48,000 on the truck. All the rest of it from Baker, how does that compare to other companies? Since that's not a state bid on the other Baker products.
There's no state bid on it. We contacted Jerry with the company that is, and they put the bed on the Baker's and just went ahead and did all the specs with it.
So if you buy Stevens, you essentially have Baker, no matter what it is, I think the deal. Okay.
We're saving almost $27,000.
Yeah, on the
Truck with all accessories. I went out and just priced the truck separately and the dump bed, and it was almost $80,000 by themselves. So if you just go buy one, that includes salt spread and everything else, we're getting home total package for $79,000. Stainless steel body, it's inaugural rest, and we're getting a top line snow package of salt spreaders.
Okay. Again, that
It
is.
ought to be one heck of a truck that lasts a long time, somebody takes good care of it.
Yeah, $79,737. So any other questions? Connie, go ahead.
One question was, we're not replacing and or getting rid of anything, is that
I
correct?
am planning on getting rid of at least one more little truck that we're having a lot of problems out of.
Okay,
I think I put that in the
Yes, you
information
did.
packet to you. There's the old red dump truck that the four-wheel drive transfer case blew up in. It was going to be $3,000 or $4,000.
It was a total of $9,000.
Oh, 9,000? Okay.
Okay.
So, and then one of the employees put gasoline in the diesel engine, and it's never worked right since then. And it's being evaluated now as to whether or not they can save the engine at a minimal cost. But even at that, we're gonna have a truck that's got a rusted out bed on it, plus
Two-wheel drive.
marginal performance. So more than likely, when we get the report, we'll put it on the bid and get rid of that particular truck.
okay.
What did you say, Scott, two-wheel drive? You said
The four-wheel drive's out on us because of the transfer case.
Second question, we are gonna pay cash for this, is that correct?
Correct.
We're not financing, is that correct?
Correct.
It's recommended out of this coal severance. Is what the clerk and the mayor recommend.
Someone asked that question, I'm just verifying.
That's a good question. Traditionally, we don't spend coal severance till later in the year also, but that's what's recommended, so that it be cash,
That's good, thank you.
no interest. Any other questions? So you were saying then that the Baker is, even though it's not a comparison, it is a good deal.
Fantastic deal.
And again, this was brought up, it's recommended we use coal severance. If you're looking at your United Bank, there's 87,000 in that fund. So this would leave about 8,000 when it's all said and done.
And we will still get
They
our,
still get,
we
Yeah,
will still get our coal
payments.
severance allocation this year.
we haven't used cold severance for a good while. But, you know, at this point, we can transfer some money from some other, you know, whatever you guys want to do.
I said, we just, somebody asked, or we paying cash, I'm good.
And that's a good question. Okay, we discussed any other questions or a motion to send to full council then?
I'll entertain a motion that, send before council to purchase a new 2020 model F600, 4x4 truck, stainless steel, dump bed, light bar package, new stovepipe package, and salt spreader, totaling $79,737.
$717.
Yeah, they changed it. Halfway through there.
So we have a motion by Jim Hughes. Do we have a second?
Second,
Connie Thompson, second. Any other questions? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. Okay. And reading over that one, this one is gasoline, correct, Scott?
It was diesel.
Diesel. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because it mentioned here the 7.3 gas, so, okay.
It is gas.
It is,
Yes.
That's what the spec sheet shows.
I thought so.
Page 1 of the spec sheet. I was just asking to make sure we don't put gas in diesel.
They worked a big deal out on those, if you don't put it in, it's a different color neck on
You say, are the nozzles different or something?
It used to be.
We're supposed to be.
Okay, we'll move now to, still Public Works, another salt spreader from the salt spreader in the bid we just approved is a 2 cubic yard dimensions, and this is, another one for 4 cubic yard. Would this be for one of the old large trucks then?
the, yes.
And this one, if you looked over your notes and you saw the information from the city of Lost Creek, they paid quite a bit more for it. So they're trying to, they cannot use it, they don't have the right size trucks, so they're offering it for $3,800. Again, that's a 4 cubic yard, large salt spreader for one of the large trucks. So any questions on that, for Public Works Director?
Just one, where's Lost Creek?
Outside of Buckingham,
Yeah.
I grew up in Buckingham, it's outside of Buckingham.
Right.
Thank you.
It's always about halfway to the French Creek King one.
Thank you.
On 33.
And that one is, the new one we're buying runs off the Breeze and Stratton. This one's a battery one, is that correct?
Electric.
Electric, okay. Any other questions about this salt spreader from Lost Creek? Which is a good price?
Yep.
Good in there.
if council or finance committee and council approve to move forward, Scott and his people will go up and take a look at it and make sure that it's all that it says it is before we actually consummate the deal. So we just need to know going in whether it's approved or not approved.
So you have that information. Any final questions? We have a motion to send full council in. Again, this recommended purchase of $3,800 from the town of Lost Creek for a 4 cubic yard salt spreader.
I make a motion to send to full council to approve the purchase of a used 4 cubic yard salt spreader from the town of Lost Creek at the cost not to exceed $3,800 after Scott approves it.
Okay, so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Second. Any final questions? All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. And you had 3 bids, and we'll come back to the specs on this, but you had 3 bids for roofing on the old pool house that's being converted to shelter. The one bid had the wrong scope of work, but you had 2 competing bids, and one was for $15,764. The low bid was $9,465 by Elite Roofing. So take time with Hughes. That would be your project then, right?
Yes.
Any questions for Hugh or anything we need to know?
That'll include a new roof, taking out all the old vents, wrapping the soft for the fascia, and putting new gutter.
Yeah.
And that's layover the shingles.
The layover, it'll have a red vent in it.
Otherwise, what color?
It's gonna be the same green as all the other roofs up there,
Good answer.
same company.
Thank you.
I did present some estimates to the Parks and Rec Committee, which I had an estimate of $10,000 on the roof, and they instructed me to go out and get bids for it, to come back before council, so it did come in under estimate.
Any other questions about the roof? Again, you've heard the color's green, it's a layover roof. That'll includes the new soffit fascia and gutters, you said too, correct?
We've already put the new fascia up.
Okay,
Just the board, but they're gonna wrap the thing.
They're gonna wrap it just for the,
wrap with aluminum, okay. Any questions? We have a motion to send this to full council then, Elite Roofing at $9,465.
I entertain a motion that, we send before council, put a new metal roof on the pool shelter building, and it costs not to exceed $9,465.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any other final questions? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. Okay, we'll drop down to letter D. This is, inside the shelter then, correct, for the roof, the internal roof?
Yes.
Okay.
There again, I went to, that was part of the estimate to the Parks and Rec Committee. I had estimated materials at $2,000. The lowest price we got, each got pricing from 3 or 4 different vendors, and Lowe's was about $400 less than the second low bidder. So it is $868 over what I originally estimated, but we should balance out with the savings on the roof overall.
You've seen that, $2,868 for materials from Lowe's. Any questions for Mayor Hugh on that project? Okay, hearing none, entertain a motion to send this to full council then.
I make a motion to send to full council approval to purchase the ceiling soffit material for the city park shelter from Lowe's at a cost of $2,868.
Do we have a second?
I second the motion.
Any other question or discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. That covers everything on our agenda. Anything else that the mayor would have related to finance for the city?
Well, the next thing I've got to get with, I guess, Parks and Rec on, was it Wednesday?
Tomorrow.
The next phase will be putting the lights in. We did get the estimate from State Electric and Ferguson and checked it at Lowe's. And State Electric is giving us a tremendous deal on that lighting. There's 50% reduction in the cost of the lighting. So I don't actually have the cost, but I'll present that to Parks and Rec. And then once we get that done, we're talking to the contractor that's doing the Stevens Drive project. And there again, Parks and Rec will discuss it tomorrow, that trying to get them to give us a price to do the concrete work to fill in the pool. So it'll get done pretty fast. And so it depends on what the pricing is. We come back as to whether they do it or we try to do it in-house. We'll be going through that with Parks and Rec tomorrow at their meeting.
Is that around the kiddie pool or to fill in the actual pool?
No, the kiddie pool.
Okay.
The swimming pool is filled. And then we'll talk about the volleyball nets and poles and the sand for the volleyball court tomorrow also. And those will be the major items that need to get taken care of, to where we can start just working on minor detail work from that point on.
Anything else related to the finance of the city from the mayor? Mayor, do you have anything else on finances for the city?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I know I had my ass was muzzled.
No, sir. Oh, I heard you.
Okay. Any other council members that, again, that we need to vote on, any questions or comments about finance-related issues, only finance-related issues? Okay, hearing none, we have a motion to adjourn. Hold on just a second, the mayor's.
I have a summary sheet of what all the cities that collect 1% sales tax. If you want to, you can get with me after the meeting and I'll make you a copy, and you can kind of see where Dunbar steps in the pecking order with all the cities that are collecting it across the state. This is what they got this quarter that we just reported on tonight. I'm sorry.
Good anytime.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Do we have a second? Thank you. So we'll adjourn until 7 o'clock.